All right, go. Okay, the P200 has a fantastic Sony image module. It gives you 30 times zoom, great for any size room. It's great in low light and has awesome color rendition. On top of that, we have our BirdDog NDI processing engine, which gives you the highest quality pictures at the lowest latency. It's compatible with any NDI device on the planet and just gives you the best outputs. We have our brand new user interface with NDI version 5, which gives you waveforms and vector scopes to make sure you're properly exposed. It also gives you unlimited control as far as color control and using your camera. In addition to this, it sounds strange, but we can do pan, tilt and zoom at the same time. Try some other cameras, they can't all do it. The P200 is a fantastic camera that's got every type of connection you can want, from NDI with power over Ethernet, SDI, HDMI, any control interface. It's got a great big tally on the top. It's a really great camera. How to do with the time? And the cool thing is, for a limited time, if you buy 3 P200s, you get a free PTZ controller.
Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is BirdDog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios, it's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. You know, like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat, and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? You're just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, Go Web? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. I feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am indeed BirdDog John. Hopefully you're doing well, and welcome back to the show. It has been a very busy morning, as it always is. Maybe it's not busy morning anymore. It is maybe just normal now, because it doesn't seem to be changing. But hey, whatever. Keeps us employed. It's job security, right? So good times, great oldies. Thanks for hanging out with us today, everybody. And my friend from Stockholm, Sweden, is trying to use shorthand, or maybe this showed up on YouTube, but not over here. But hey, how's it going? Waving back at you. Hopefully you're doing well. Angus, always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by, and looking forward to hanging out with you as long as I can here today. Greetings from snowy Wisconsin, says anonymous Facebook user, who is actually better known as David? D-David? Over on Facebook, it says D-David. It's double D's, so there you go. Hey, how's it going, David? Hopefully it's David. Tom, how's it going? Tell Media watching. Hey, always a pleasure, Tell. Thanks for stopping by today. And if you have any of your NDI questions, let me know. I'm here to get into it with everybody, so we'll sort that out as time goes along. What's going on, Lewis? Thanks for coming by. Always appreciate it. Nice to see you again. Good times, great oldies. So I didn't do the
Serenity now, insanity later.
Got my mug from my brother and sister and niece, which I love dearly. I'm finishing up a cup of coffee here, and then of course I have the non-sponsor of this show, Ember mug, also full of coffee and additional some water in my all matte black, I don't know, what is that, thermos water, whatever that thing is. I have a travel container. Wow, why am I blanking on that? Anyways, this is in low bandwidth to assist with the bandwidth issue that I'm having inside vMix for some reason. So that's why that picture is a little bit fuzzy, but this one, it's crystal clear. Matter of fact, I had a meeting with the CEO of the company, Dan, and several other the managers and my direct report, Jamie. And I showed up with this vMix feed, and I was I had the playlist running, everything. And I showed up, the video turned on, I was running this P4K, and he's like, is that the P200? And I was like, no, it's the P4K. And he said, I was going to say, because that looked like the next level sensor is what that looked like. He said, that makes a lot more sense that you're using a P4K. I said, yeah, it's our demo unit that we have here. Technically, it's our support unit that we have here. So this is a P4K image now, folks, which, of course, I ho-hummed and didn't actually use for a very long time, mostly because we didn't have one. And then when I had one, I thought, well, I don't really need the 4K. I really like the P200, and it is still here. It's just not plugged in. But I could plug it in, I guess. I have a cable for it. We could bring that in as well to the show, the original, the OG camera on this show. But anyways, this is a P4K that you're looking at here. The other two angles are PF120s. I've had to give up on the P240. That is now with the support agents for various reasons. And so I've got two PF120s, a P100 that's above me on the desk when I'm doing drop-down stuff, in particular for Snacks on Stream. And then the P4K is the go-to. So that's my rig setup here. And, of course, the RE20 from Evie is the choice of microphone that I use on this show, and mostly because I just love it. And the other one that I have is actually the Lav 2 microphone, the LV2 from X5, which is the one when I don't have the RE20 and I tape it to my body. That rig, along with the Rode Wireless Go, is the system that I use for sound in this room. Now, I was going to hook that up today and have a different microphone, but as you saw, the show started late, and I even missed the countdown. I was sitting here working on stuff, and I looked over, and the countdown was done, and whoops-a-daisy. So my apologies. We will go let's say 6 minutes extra today, just to be sure that you get your full price of admission, your full value here at Bird Dog Support. So I want to be sure that you don't feel cheated. Now, this microphone is actually in the wrong spot. It's supposed to be here because it's casting a massive shadow on my face. So I will make sure that that is corrected. The issue is this arm. I really should switch these two computers, but this arm is right in the middle of the screen that I'm looking at for StreamYard. So that's always fun. All right, let's see what we've got here. Angus, I'm having a fun morning. I'm testing out an SDI over fiber system, NDI capable too, of course, and it's all working perfectly upon first power up. Good news. I would be interested to hear about your, what do they call it, the reliability report as to long term and what SFP mods you're using and how you're hooking that up over fiber. I'm all about that because I love to know what people are doing. This is like, I feel like I'm leaning into this. I'd love to know what people are doing in the field, and Angus, you're always forthcoming with information, whether it's good or bad. So I don't expect anything less. The really fun part is that it's bidirectional across a single fiber, running matched pairs of SFPs at 1310 and 1550. Interesting. Yes, more information on this and the use case for it, by the way. So what is it that this camera got turned because my monitor is usually in the shot. So that's a little more true to form. Yeah, we'll go with that. This is what it looks like. So good stuff. Great. So yeah, let me know more about that use case and what in particular, what style of NDI, how it's all going, and be good to know. I'm using FS64594 and 595 SFPs, compatible of 3G SDI. Okay. Facebook user says, I'm having issues with my PF120 focus hunting. Is there a setting that I'm missing, and have I switched the camera? I have switched the camera to manual mode. So the PF120 is the same lens as the 100, and that autofocus, I think personally, is a little wider than it should be. And so it does, especially with a multi-dimensional shot like this one is. So I've got my shoulder, which is substantially further in front of the microphone, right? Okay. And then I've got a microphone, which is also center shot. And then I've got a computer in the shot. I've got a background that's quite a distance away for the camera. That whole rig there's a lot to focus on, a lot to figure out. And so I find that with those multi-dimensional shots, here's another PF120, by the way, with those multi-dimensional shots, it's better to run this on manual focus and set it as you want it and leave it that way. If I power cycle this camera, it does tend to need to be retold to use manual focus. So there is, I don't know if that's true for everything, but I did power cycle that camera yesterday in an effort to help with a different camera that we were working on. And it was actually another PF120. And when I powered that one back up, it was out of focus this morning. So it wasn't told. When I unclicked the autofocus button in Studio Monitor, everything came back into focus and we were good to go. So it does seem to be a little bit of an issue with the autofocus. I also don't factually know where on the frame it is set to focus on, right? Because it can't focus the whole picture. So it has to pick something. And I'd love to know more about the algorithm of that for this particular camera, because it's a different lens than the other ones that we have in the camera fleet. And so it's very similar to the P100. And that lens also hunts a little bit for focus. So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but that is kind of what we are looking at. And if you're doing these multi-dimensional shots like I have, then you're probably going to want to set a manual focus on that, just so that it's not trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be looking at here? I have found, like, when I used to have a PF120 that was almost directly in front of me and it was watching me really like a close-up shot like this, and it would always focus right here. And so I would just be slightly out of focus. And it's great. The autofocus is finding something dominant in the shot. It's just not the person. And the camera doesn't really know the difference. So there you go. Question about Genlock. The P200 upgrade includes a Genlock option. What would be the correct way to configure this quickly? So that's NDI 5 Genlock, and all that is looking at the time code of a single NDI source on your network and matching that. And so it won't self-generate. It will watch the generation of the time code on the NDI source that you've pointed it to. So ideally, you would point everybody to the same camera, and then that locks all those cameras into the same time code, and then you can then fine-tune and adjust it once inside vMix or whatever, and then you're good. You should be set. You shouldn't have to touch it again. When they're all self-generating, there's variance. So the idea is to point them all at the same time code on the network and then go with it from there. So sorry, I keep checking my watch because the daycare the preschool that my son is at sends photos of him daily. It's actually a really cool feature, and they have an app, but it buzzes my watch every single time I get a new photo. It's like, there's new photo. Okay, everybody just chill. So the best way to configure that is just point all of the IP addresses at a single point on your network for like your dominant camera or your number one camera or whatever, and then they'll all reference that code. There's another photo. Have BirdDog done any side-by-side comparisons with the competition? Who's the competition? Who are you comparing us to? Because a lot of people are like, well, other STI cameras or other NDI cameras or other HDMI cameras or other USB cameras or all of them. It's like, okay, who are you referring to? Because I'm legitimately asking. I'll tell you, we've done shootouts with like some PTZ optics cameras and stuff, and obviously we're biased. We think it looks better, but what are you talking? And also side-by-sides in terms of what? Latency, picture quality, black level control. There's a bunch of things there. So it's kind of a really, no, officially no, we haven't. Just because you do one and you publish it and they're like, okay, yeah, but what about this? It's like, well, it's an endless mountain to climb if that's the case. Now, we have had customers that do that and post that on Facebook, and we actually don't oppose that. We're fine with customers saying in the field, here's what I'm able to generate with the BirdDog camera. Here's what I'm able to generate with this particular rig or whatever. That's fine. People can do that. And check out, there's actually an NDI user group. It's not controlled by BirdDog. It's just self-governed, I think. And there's a lot of those on there. So if you want to see any side-by-sides that are not BirdDog bias, obviously ones that we're not generating, some of them show up in the BirdDog user group. A lot of them show up in the ones that we don't have control over. And Reddit does some side-by-side. People on Reddit post those as well. So that would be where I would go to find those impartial reviews. One guy, I don't know if he's done a shootout side-by-side, but he definitely talks about a wide range of NDI cameras, is Tom St. Clair over at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, or more commonly known as the Streaming Idiot, the head Streaming Idiot. This is a self-proclaimed title, not one that I have given him, nor do I endorse it. I actually don't think Tom is an idiot. He's one of the OG, and he is the GOAT of the NDI streaming world, and he can be found at easternshorebroadcasting.com. I can't say enough nice things about it, straight up because he's one of the nicest guys in the industry, but also because he's very easy, approachable, and honest. And that's really what you want as a consumer, is you want somebody just to say something honest to you that, like, this is good, this is not good, you know? So he does PTZ optics, bird dogs. He does NDI new tech cameras. He does whatever's out there. Whatever he gets sent, he'll test. So he did the bird dog play the other day, and about 2 weeks ago on his show. He has a show on Wednesdays at 3 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon. And really great guy to go and subscribe to his channel over on YouTube. There's already like 8,000 people or something like that subscribe to him. I pale in comparison to Tom Sinclair, which is, I have no issue with that because he is a guy worth knowing. So check out Tom's channel, and he would be a great guy to at least see, here's a PTZ optics camera, and here's all their function. And here's a bird dog camera, and here's all their function. And then he's a good friend with the owners of bird dog, so he's kind to us. But there you go. That's if you're looking for those things, I would always go to somewhere where you're going to get a gambit of reviews and not like my channel, because I'm going to be everything bird dog, right? Nobody's going to send me a PTZ optics camera and say, give an honest review about this camera. I know that going into this show, that's not going to happen. One more time, folks.
Serenity now, insanity later.
Special shout out to my brother and sister and niece who sent that over to me late last week. I need to give a little shout out here to my friend Bird Dog Jake. It is Bird Dog Jake's birthday today, and he has hit yet another annual milestone of surviving in this crazy world. And I want to say a special happy birthday, Jake. It is a pleasure to get to work alongside you, and you're one of the best. So cheers to you. Happy birthday. Big shout out to you on your birthday. I know you're either traveling or you're in New York right now, spending some time with some family. So cheers to you, man. Happy birthday. Yeah, you mean a lot to us and this company and this department. So carry on. Happy birthday, buddy. Hope it's a good one. Alrighty. I do a few shows where I run a bunch of SDI cabling, and I want to bring all of that down and do single mode fiber, a complex single mode fiber. Oh, there. Why don't I just keep reading? Single mode fiber reel is on its way to me now. So you're running tandem single mode between, what are they, like fiber transmitter and receivers, like individual units? I'm very interested in your workflow. This would be great. The SDI fiber converters are from Blackmagic, and am I allowed to say that on here? Yeah, you can say that. It's okay. Look, Blackmagic make products that are widely used, regularly loved, and have a purpose in the world. It may not coincide with everything we do, but Blackmagic doesn't do NDI. You know, so we don't care. We don't really care that much. They've had their share of struggles in the past, and so have we. And I believe the future is bright for us. And some of the stuff that Blackmagic's coming out with, quite frankly, is pretty cool. So I'm not gonna boo-hoo them on here. They have their own thing. They have their own challenges and struggles, and you know, it's interesting to see them evolve, just like it's interesting to watch Bird Dog evolve, right? So the thing that I want to try, I said this on Tuesday, the thing that I want to try of Blackmagic is their Blackmagic HDMI ISO ATEM recorder. That's what I want to try. I want to see how good that is, because if you could do 4 cameras, control them all over NDI, do this vMix setup if you would, but then bring in those feeds also via HDMI into your, I mean, you could set up NDI decoders and blah, 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 but just bring them in HDMI as well and do 4-channel recording on that device. I'm a big proponent, and you guys know this, that I love to buy the thing to do the thing that it was designed to do. Don't buy the thing that does 50 things to do the one thing you want it to do, because the developers didn't spend their focused time developing that one feature. They spent their time developing a mass broad range of things that the thing can do. And it makes me nervous when something does 100 things. What I want to do is I want to have a switcher that does recording. I want an ISO recorder. That's it. Hook up an external, hard drive SSD to it. Away you go. Start recording. For a different project that I'm working on outside of BirdDog, I need that function, and I want to see how well that ISO ATEM HDMI works. So if anybody has one they want to give it away. Otherwise, I need to probably buy one, and I'll talk to the project this weekend, see if that's something we could do. Let's see. I have a doubt because in one case the function is active and in another model it is not. You have a doubt. Oh, here, sorry. Question about Genlock. The function is active and the other is not. Well, it was only enabled in NDI 5, right? So that would be something you need to make sure everything's on the latest firmware. I believe it's 9.4 is the last BirdDog firmware. But if you're just talking generally with NDI Genlock, I don't know about the rest of the industry. So I can only speak to the BirdDog Genlock development because that's the only exposure I have. I'm really sorry that I haven't had more time to test out some like third-party Genlock stuff, because that's one of the most regularly requested things is like, what's the story with Genlock on your cameras? Well, the physical Genlock port on the 4K cameras is inactive right now. So the NDI 5 Genlock thing is really the only answer that I have as of today. Set manual and studio monitor or camera control? Both. You could do both, but I use studio monitor just because it's fast. That's my go-to. I don't fire up cam control every time I do that. Oh, or if you're talking about, see, this is naming conventions. Maybe you're referring to cam control in the web UI. And if you are, you could set it there as well. I would set it there and then just manipulate it in Studio Monitor as a quick reference, but Pana someone. Oh, that was a good one. Thanks, man. So Panasonic is who we're referring to here, and I have no issues with this either. Look, I'm fine to talk about other cameras in the industry. Here's the difference, though, with Panasonic and BirdDog, and somebody said this to me recently, and I actually think it's extremely valid. Panasonic is not an NDI company. They are not. BirdDog is. And Panasonic is doing a bajillion things. And so for them to spend the time doing NDI at the level we are is not going to be reasonable. Now, they both do a form of NDI, yes, but that's about where the similarities stop. We specialize in it. If you're in the NDI game, you want to look at companies that are specializing and spending all their time and all their money in developing the NDI protocol and developing the SDK. That is what I think the value is. If you want the Swiss Army knife, which I think Panasonic is, because they don't just make cameras, they make controllers, but they also make, a variety of electronic devices, and they also make, appliances, and it's just not a focus for them like it is for BirdDog. Everything we do, every product we make is about NDI right now, and so that is super important to know that we're hyper focused on it, where Panasonic isn't. So if you're just doing a shootout between picture quality, Panasonic lens and a Sony lens. That's what you're looking at. If you're talking about NDI functionality, I think the pan tilt zoom stuff might be similar, but I think like color manipulation over metadata NDI, there's no match. There's no comm systems that I know of with Panasonic that's running over the NDI channel. There's no tally information that's running parallel to the metadata over Panasonic cameras that I know of. If you're just talking about like pan tilt zoom functions and what the image looks like, yeah, okay, that might be on par. That might be something worth comparing. But like we quickly get into different worlds because we are hyper focused on the functionality over NDI. That's like our thing, and Panasonic just genuinely is not. They do it. They just aren't spending nearly the amount of time that we are on that. So. JVC has cameras at a similar price point. My P200 looks a tiny bit nicer, and the JVCs are nowhere near as smooth to control, especially zoomed in. Boom. Thanks, Angus. Happy birthday, Jake. Agreed. Happy birthday, Jake. Every time somebody says, happy birthday, Jake, I'm going to hit the DJ horn. That's today's. He's definitely probably not watching today because it's his birthday and he's away with family. But yeah, we love Jake around here. So, been speaking with Phil from the UK, Bird Dog. It's all Bird Dog, by the way. Phil is my coworker. But yes, and Phil is a guy worth knowing. Been speaking with Phil at Bird Dog, going to let us do some side by sides. Looking forward to seeing the results. Excellent. Looking forward to that too. I personally don't like the way the Panasonics look, but that's again because I know what I'm doing. First of all, with Bird Dog P200s, 100s, 120s, 4Ks, and I haven't spent a ton of time with the Panasonics, but I have seen Panasonic productions that look nice. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm ordering 2 500-foot reels, 1 4-fiber, 1 8-fiber, all single mode. Very cool. Yeah, I would be very interested to know your results. Each fiber can take 1 SDI signal in each direction, or a 1 gig or 10 gig Ethernet connection. Boom. For the other viewer, we use a unit that sends 8 SDI video feeds down a single fiber core, separate signals by the wavelength that they travel on. I have one of the 8 HDMI ISO ATEMs. The buttons are a bit gummy, so it's not the nicest to switch on directly, but the ISO recording is great. It also spits out to DaVinci Resolve project for your show, so you can recut it later. I edit with Resolve, so do I. So that's really nice to have. Blackmagic also have SDI ISO recording versions now. Yeah, I've seen those. I don't need that. Which is great. It's recently, right? They recently launched that. Have used the Blackmagic ISO recorder, had multiple units, and a lot of ops ran into issues with them. Ooh, tell me more, Tom. Hi, Chris. How's it going? I'll trade you my HDMI ISO for a P120. No, that's a raw deal. You need to send me 3 ISO recorders for the P120. Hey, Mike, what's going on, man? Can Play be used at hybrid events to bring remote guests into the event on a monitor so that an in-person presenter can interact with the remote guest without too much latency? No, so the Play is an ARM process decode, so there's going to be more. If you're going to do bringing guests in via NDI and putting them on a monitor, you would go with a flex out or a 4K HDMI out for that because that is the lowest latency we can deliver. I wouldn't necessarily go with a Play as an iMag type of solution. I would use it in multiple situations. Just came from a job a week ago doing signage and doing showing what's happening on the production level out in non-iMag situations. But for live conversations and that sort of thing, you want to keep that latency as low as possible. And you're probably going to want to go with a different offering like a flex out or something like that. I mean, if latency is not a big deal for you, but in a conversation, it seems like it would be. So I don't know. Sure. I mean, yes, you could, but pit it up against the other options that we have. No, I'd go with a flex out if it's money's no object. One of the other fiber things that I'm working on the NDI is an NDI remote rack. My main streaming rack has a 4212PX on board, warranty replaced, and I've built a small secondary rack with my 21 or 4212. So I can have a single fiber line run out of a great distance to bring in and out a few more NDI signals, as well as a secondary VLAN in case I need to bring public internet in from far away as well. Very cool. Have you tested what is the limit of 4K full NDI cameras that vMix actually supports simultaneously? vMix reports that it's 4. It depends. Well, okay. So it greatly depends on the performance of your machine. vMix says it'll support up to 4. I have 4, but I max out. I'm over 1 gig usage, and the CPU is just churning. Like the fans are just moving, which is why the next camera that you see is running in low bandwidth mode, just to keep that level down, and then I'm not overloading the CPU. I'm running at about 65, 70%, somewhere in there. Once it hits the 75% threshold, it's considered overloaded, which, anyway, yeah, potato. But yeah, 4, I believe, is probably about right. But there are ways to do this that don't require that. So if you need more than 4, you could use something like Bird Dog Central, bring it in and create a router and switch them through there, and just have, if you need vMix for something, you could then just have that one single routed mix come into vMix as a single NDI source, and then all bets are off in terms of how many that you could actually have, because Central 2.0 is not actually using the full bandwidth. It's using proxy, and it's switching between, it's just routing, retransmitting the data. It's not actually pulling the data. So we could easily fix the 4. If 4 is the limit, the true limit inside vMix, and that's what they say they're going to support, Central 2 could also run, and you could have a switchable source that way. And Jake demonstrated that last time he was on the show. Happy birthday, Jake. Happy birthday. Has the bandwidth doubling issue in the Play been resolved with the beta firmware on 17? I think the beta firmware is 18, actually. And yes, I have had that resolved, I believe. So, also, I've seen posts in Bird Dog user group about CPU in some units of the Play overheating. What are your thoughts? Yes, that is a confirmed thing, and they are working on how to resolve that. So 18 does a little bit with the CPU management issue and the heat generation stuff. So I can confirm that that is being looked at for sure, but 18 should do some CPU management stuff. Can Play be used in hybrid events to bring in? Oh, wait, we already answered this. My bad. Has the bandwidth heating thing. Wait a minute. Okay, so those questions were asked twice. All good, all good. So yeah, that is CPU usage is a little bit higher, and there is that's generating a lot of heat. The nature of the board is that it throttles down when it hits a certain threshold, and that's where we were starting to see some drop frames and stuff. So they're working on figuring that out as to what is the way forward with managing that heat and making sure that it doesn't get too hot. So there are some things that you could do. You could open the top of the unit off, but that's gonna look weird. But yeah, they are working on figuring out what the fix is for that. So I'll figure that out. Okay, we do have snacks on stream today, and so I want to do that. And so let's start that now, and then we'll get back to your NDI question.
John's just making up stuff to start drama.
Look, I don't know.
Look at him.
Wish me luck, folks. It's my first Vegemite experience.
Final, this is like cheese flavor or something. It doesn't really look too appetizing.
Good golly, this is something else, man.
Here's the thing about Pop Rocks, and I don't know if I'm the only one like this. Pop Rocks have always been a social experience for me.
I did not think that is what you were going to say. That's hilarious.
That is awful. Oh, God, that's so bad. Jeez. Holy smokes, man.
Yep. It's that time again, everybody. And today, so on Tuesday, I proposed that I was going to try a different spicy ramen, which I want to show you here because this thing has like flames all over it. It's an all black package. The label, it says Flaming Spicy Madness. Flaming Spicy Madness. But as you see, I have not prepared it today. And the reason why I didn't prepare it is I asked Jake on yesterday if he would be available, and he said, or if he would be home, and he said, well, kind of. I'm traveling to New York, which is where he's from, and I'm going to be with my brother, so technically, because it's my birthday, and so that's where the happy birthday stuff. Well, I found out that my guys, when Jake was visiting, put one of these in his carry-on, and so he has one, and I'm hoping he still has one, because I want to have him on the show and eat this with him in tandem. And so today we're going to change it up. I'm not going to eat this, but maybe sometime next week. And I need to get on the same page with Jake and see what his availability is. But Daring Dry Black Noodles, spicy chicken flavor. I'm already like ready for this. And the Ghost Pepper. So Ghost Pepper ramen. I had some spicy ramen that was by Wrap Snacks on Tuesday. And it was spicy, but it was American spicy. So it wasn't spicy Korean hot. It was just spicy American hot. But anyways, oh yeah, and that was the one if you're looking to replicate my experience from Tuesday, Boozy was the celebrity on that one, who is a cancer survivor, we found out. So congratulations congratulations to Boozy for overcoming cancer. That's a big deal. Or just for flat out just fighting it, for that matter. I mean, that's no joke. But anyways, this one is not sponsored by Boozy, and this one isn't even Wrap Snacks. It is some sort of spicy ramen, something or other. We're going to do that with Jake on the show. Hopefully he still has his, didn't like throw it out, or they didn't make him throw it out on his way home. If he did, I'll ship him one. But anyway, so today we're going to change it up a little bit, and I have yoink and yoink. I've got the options here for a Snacks on Stream mystery box. Thank you, Brighton. My Serenity Now mug is here. Today's show is not brought to you by Ember Mugs. Keep your coffee hot and your creamer curdled. But the obvious one that I know that we're going to get into is Jalapeno Kettle Potato Chips by Clover Valley. I've never heard of these dudes. So I'm really excited about this because I am a big jalapeno fan. So we're going to get into that in a moment. And we're going to find out what's in the Snacks and Stream mystery box. Let's see what Brayton has chosen today. Oh, man, Pokemon Graham Snacks. I'm all about that. So this will cool down the jalapeno snacks for sure, the kettle chips. So let's get into that as we continue on with your any NDI questions that you have. I want to be sure that you guys are being attentive. I'm sorry I didn't realize that you were sorry for posting twice. Didn't know you're monitoring. Yes, thankfully StreamYard allows me to bring in multiple channels into this. So I have LinkedIn, a couple of YouTube channels. Facebook doesn't tell me who's posting, but it does bring it in. And then Twitter. So if you're over on the help_birddog TV Twitter channel, I'm streaming over there as well. So the good old sniff test. This is a $1 bag of jalapeno flavored kettle chips. And they smell like kettle chips. They don't smell like jalapeno, so strike one. No, I'm kidding. Looking forward. I like kettle chips, though. Here we go. Now, they say jalapeno flavored. They do not say spicy. Contains milk. What? How? So these have onion powder, jalapeno pepper, spices, garlic powder, potassium chloride, green bell pepper, and non-fat dairy milk. Were they just like short on ingredients or something and they wanted to add something? Maybe that's how they make the chips. I don't know. Kettle potato chips. They are very much so mildly jalapeno flavored. Matter of fact, crunchiest chips ever. I actually don't taste the jalapeno. There's a burn. No. There's a heat. But I know what jalapenos taste like. I grow them. These are good kettle chips. They do not taste like jalapenos. So that's false advertising. But they're good kettle chips. They do taste good. And I would eat this whole bag if I could. But I probably shouldn't. So I won't. But I will eat these ones. I am looking forward to these. These look like Teddy Grahams. Remember those? They still make those? But they're Pokemon. They're made by Nabisco, so they're probably going to be good. Fantastic. I'm on the salted popcorn as a result of you pulling the snacks out. Is this homemade salted popcorn, or is this something I can buy? That sounds good. 45 minutes into the test, the Blackmagic fiber converters are cool to the touch. I expect that they will last well. These are Blackmagic fiber converters? I got to Google that. Oh. Oh, yeah. I've seen these style devices before. Before I ever got into NDI industry, I used the Blackmagic, what was it? Blackmagic HDMI to Thunderbolt to bring in video at a basketball game that I was streaming, oddly enough. Bally would know, he was there. It was back in the day. 45 minutes, that's great. Are they they're working? They're sending video? They send in a complex frame or a simple frame? The frame is all black. It doesn't mean anything. But if you have a shot of something that's semi-complex, that's good. Good stuff. All right, there was something that I wanted to talk about today on the show, and of course, I didn't write it down, so I've forgotten. Other than, I did write down Jake's birthday. So, happy birthday, Jake. Appreciate you, man. Complex frame. Excellent. Is it true that there is a difference in image quality between NDI and SDI and HDMI using both SDI and NDI simultaneously? The delay is clear that there is more in NDI. So there will be a delay because the NDI, so the image is hitting the camera, is going down to the board. The board is converting the signal and sending it to the SDI output, the HDMI output, and the NDI chip. The NDI chip is then taking that information and converting it to NDI and outputting it one frame later. And then depending on how you're ingesting that, how you're decoding that information, we'll add latency again and then show it. But image quality should not be different because it is literally the same signal that's going to SDI and HDMI that's going to the NDI chip. So there shouldn't be any sort of reduction in quality of the image, just the latency added by the NDI encode and decode process. An assortment of content that I've recorded over the years and use as test footage. NDI is typically compressed about 10:1 by definition. There has to be a quality loss, but it's pretty minimal. Yeah, unless you're putting it through a fabrics analyzer or something like that, you should not notice the difference. But 10:1 seems a little high for me, but you may be right. I don't know. Can't stop. Make sure you check out all of our quality snack products from Clover Valley. I wonder how retail stores feel about them printing the $1 label on the bag. Because basically you have to get the retailers to agree that that's going to be the only price, right? So uh-oh. Best by February 3rd, 2023. Maybe that's why I can't taste the jalapeno. This is considered bioengineered food. All right. Still tastes good. What is the just curious in your thoughts, a chip, like a kettle chip, how long would you let that go past the expiration date? We're a month and a half into it. Wow. I'm also doing some NDS stuff at the same time, and I may have made a breakthrough with my drop frames. If it holds up, then I have, drum roll please. I don't have a drum roll. What can I use instead of a drum roll? Here we go. New knowledge to offer. That's great. 1080 at 2997 is 1.5 gigs. NDI drops that to about 140 megs, so that's about 10/1. I'll see if that works. I'll see if that matches out. I'm supposed to have a meeting tonight with the engineers. I'll see if that flush is true. I believe you, but I don't know for sure. On the Bird Dog Flex In, the owner's manual says that it will blink amber, green, red, and then go black. Mine simply comes on at green for a bit, and then blinks red, and then goes black. I've never seen amber. Well, here is a Flex In. Let's give it a go. See what this is on the latest firmware. So there's a slight chance that the manual's not 100% accurate on the LED readout. Oh, amber. Amber. So that's correct. Maybe you call that green. Kind of looks a little green. But when it goes green, it's really green. So that's amber, 100%. That's what they mean by that. Blink amber. Then it should go green. Oh, hey, how's it going? So green is on my shirt, right? So there, green, blinking red. And then, oh, mine stays red now because there's nothing to encode. So this is a Flex In, and that's, oh, is it? Yeah, this is a Flex In. And, wow, I just had like a total brain freeze. But it stays on red because there's not a valid signal. When I plug a valid signal in, then it turns green. Now, there is a LED mode, I believe, with Flex In. We could certainly find that out. Bird Dog. Is it this one? It is this one. Wow. Way to go, muscle memory. I was just messing with this like 2 days ago, and I remembered the short name, the MDNS name for it. So I'm running 192, and the actual onboard tally, yeah. So you can do video mode, you can do on mode, or you can do off mode. By default, I believe it's either off or on. All right. And when it's off or on, it will turn off. And then you plug in a valid source and it will turn green. Oh, I'm sorry. When you plug in a source and you switch to it on vMix, it will turn red. And then when you put it in preview, it should turn green. If you turn it on video mode, all right, it's red until you plug in a valid source, and then it's green. So it's a way that you can see from a distance that there's a valid source being encoded on that Flex In. If you just turn on tally mode, it won't turn red or green until you switch to it inside vMix or Wirecast or TriCaster or OBS. Well, does OBS do it? OBS may not do it. Don't quote me on that. So video mode, mine stays on red. But you can see if I turn it just to tally mode on, it turns off the tally because I don't have it selected inside vMix. So it's just blank. But I can confirm that power on sequence on 192 firmware LTS on 192 LTS, that sequence is correct, or should show correct. Hopefully you guys saw that. I didn't realize the words were up. Sorry. You have to try the Lay's chips with flavor Yaman Edibirko? Did I say that right? Probably not. Let's Google that. Lay's chips. Let me make sure I'm spelling this right. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yep. All right. Currently not offered on. Whoop. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to get this at off of eBay. Spanish Serrano ham tasting? They taste like ham? That can't be right. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. Yes, this is why I wish I was going to NAB, because I just have people bring me these items. So, the new knowledge. I turn off interrupt moderation on my SFP Plus Nick. I've had one for my P200 running for about 5 minutes and haven't dropped a single frame. If this holds up, I'll update my ticket with Clay. Turn off interrupt moderation. One moment, please. Ooh, let's get into these Pokemon Graham snacks. I'm going to like these. Oh, yeah. They're like glistening with sugar goodness. Pretty sure that was a Ivysaur I just ate. Yep. I like these. Approved. This snack gets an instant approval. I need like an approval stamp. I think Balu made me one, actually. Is this still in here? Might still be in here. Yeah. Boom. Approved. These are good. Okay, so back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Where is it here? Nobody? And the crowd went mild. Okay. I'm probably going to drop the stream because I'm messing with things in here. I won't actually do it, but you know what I mean. Do you wish to proceed? You probably shouldn't mess with this. Interrupt moderation. I turned off interrupt moderation. Interesting. All right. I will update the ticket with Clay, your findings, but I will monkey with things here after the show. Because that is very interesting. Morning, John. Just lurking in the background. What's going on, MTash? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. I'm ridiculously excited right now. This is amazing. No drop frames. You're going into a 4212? Is that what you said? I'm leaning on the computer. Like as a crutch. I'm testing for drop frames, SDI in and out, video playback, plus NDI bridge encoding 26.4. So I can monitor the SDI feed. I've searched like mad. Can't find anything about interrupt moderation in NDI. But it's solid. That's the only thing that I've changed. Again, not a static image on the P200. It's looking at my cat's water fountain. $10 gigs to the computer. Windows 11, right? 4212. Very cool. Very cool. I wonder how that, because I've got 1 gig connections, but they're dual, they're lagged, so I wonder how that would behave. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Windows 11. Okay, cool. When you said Ivysaur, I thought you meant some sort of newfangled kind of cold sore. Cats with their own water fountain? I came home on Monday to a litter of kittens by my front door. We don't have a cat. Oh, no. And now you have kittens. Were they like in a box, like somebody put them there, or they were just hanging around your front door? I'm sorry? I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing that you're telling us. All right. So, we're back to the point where I should start taking ideas for things that you guys want to talk about on the show. Other than me eating chips. I'm fine with that, by the way. But anything that you guys would find useful, or like stuff that's like, man, I wish there was training on this, or how to use this product, or something like that, I'd be happy to set those up and to plan on scheduling those so that you guys can make plans to join us. I'm about to participate in some training for some like resellers and distributors, and that might give me a better idea as to the kind of lack of knowledge that we have in the field, and then maybe we could come up with some ideas from that. Your cameras are compatible with roll-in tables. Same model incorporates PTZ control. That I don't know. I haven't used a roll-in anything to control the camera, to control our cameras, and I don't think HQ has either. So that would be news to us if it does. I'm assuming Sony Visca IP. Mama Cat was on top of them. She was hiding under a cabinet where our electric meter and telecoms go. We don't have snow here. Oh, man. Crazy. Any correlation to the dip switches on the 240 and P120 when using NDI, or a dip switch just for SDI HDMI? If I have the dip set to P1080p and I am on NDI going into vMix at 30 frames, will this be a problem? So don't change the dip switches. Those need to be in default position at all times. And the only changes that you make on a Bird Dog camera are in the web UI, because we override all of that information. So unplug the cameras, power them down, put the dip switches back in default position, which are listed in the user manuals, and then power them back up. Then go into the web UI and select the format that you want to use, and it will change it there. If you're using 1080p 60 or 30 or whatever, that's fine. 30 says. Then you can just change it on the web UI to 1080p 30, but the dip switches should be in default position. So both of those sets of dip switches are different. The default positions are not the same because they're different lenses and different cameras and different baseboards and all that sort of good stuff. So be sure that you put them all back to default, and then just change the information on the web UI, and that will change the output on the SDI, the HDMI, and the NDI output. It does. What's going on, LinkedIn? Wait. I was getting names from LinkedIn earlier, and now it just says LinkedIn. Hey, James, what's going on? Thanks for jumping on the show with us. Appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to have some black coffee out of my Ember mug. You notice there's kind of a common theme with this show is black hat, black shirt, black background, black mug, black water bottle, black phone, black packaging on this food, black headphones. I like all my stuff to disappear into the background. Oh, black microphone. Technically, this is the gray model, but it looks very, very dark on camera. So. And it has this beautiful blue sheen on the top because of my accent lighting. There you go. There you go. Very cool. Yoink. Well, don't forget that if you're friends with Jake on LinkedIn or Facebook or something, send him a message and say happy birthday. Let's flood his social media channels with happy birthday messages because it is his birthday today. Good times. Oh, look. Look who came in the studio to visit. None other than our friend, faithful and true studio, the OG of the Bird Dog realm. She probably still works, too. So we can unplug this Flex. Let's see if she comes back to life here. This is the original support studio unit. This is the one that's in the video, by the way, the tribute. It has my name on the back of it. This was the first Bird Dog unit I ever touched. That was mine. And she's alive. Ah, the little dot matrix on the front. These are the good old days. I wish you knew that you were in the good old days before the good old days were over. What is that line from The Office? I wish you knew you were in the good old days. Andy Bernard. I wish you knew that you were in the good old days before you actually left. Oh no, I wish there was a way to know that you were in the good old days before you actually left them. Andy Bernard. It's like a yearbook sentence. It is the good old days. My faithful old studio still gets used from time to time. Yeah, this one, I mean, we still support it, right? It's still a few more months left to support studio, so she's still here. She still gets an IP address, still says Cam1. Good stuff. My final question on the list today has to do with audio going into a P200. Can I simply take an 1/8 to XLR adapter and bring audio in from my mixer? Yes, but it needs to be basically the final mix, and I think it's -6 is what it's on the P200, if I'm not mistaken. So you need to compensate by giving it 6 additional decibels of gain. I don't know if it's still 12. It was 12 at one point, but I think it's 6 right now. And the P200, yeah. So it will be a little quieter than the original mix output. So as long as you know that, you should be able to go out of a mixer, okay, into a camera. But camera doesn't do phantom power, so you can't go XLR from a microphone like this, for example. Can't plug into a P200, and people do that all the time. They hook up shotgun mics and stuff on these cameras that are out in the middle of nowhere, and they're not getting any sound from my microphones. Like, wait, there's no power, so they don't understand that microphones need power. But I'm assuming you know this because you're saying mixer. So as long as it's as long as you have the ability to turn it up, you should be fine. And also, the audio settings inside a BirdDog device should sit at like 50%. Like the slider should be at 50 for the audio in. Should not be at 100. So 50 or less, like around there somewhere. And then you should adjust your mixer from there. That's probably the way you should plan to use it. Hopefully that's helpful. Shoot, there was something I can't remember. There was something I was doing earlier. I thought, I should show this on the show, and now I can't remember. It's been a little busy around here the past few days. I've had multiple meetings in the evenings with the folks over in Australia, just because we're trying to catch up and get on the same page and talk about NAB, talk about things that are coming up in the near future for the company, and that's all very exciting. But there's a lot of people in the company, and there's a lot of stakeholders in terms of people that are fixing things, developing things, workflow. The sales guys are, I would say, waist deep, but I think it's more like chin deep at this point in working with folks on flushing out their future plans for NDI and BirdDog installs and whatever. So I know, for example, Jake and Monty were away at a, let's say, football establishment, American football establishment, helping them with an install and talking about options when it comes to NDI. They're demoing some stuff, especially with keyboard and some of the more heavier camera options that we have. A200, A300 realm. So they were walking them through all that and letting them have a bunch of their aha moments as to, oh, well, if we can do this here locally, what could we do in a bigger sense? And so they were having fun chatting with them, but also having to go up really high installations, like 75 feet in the air, which I don't know if either of them are super comfortable with that sort of stuff. I've done that in the past. It doesn't bother me too much, but you just don't look down, essentially. But yeah, they are busy having those conversations. And the whole sales team, by the way, they're all having these major sales. So they're busy walking customers through that stuff. And like I said, they're constantly in meetings, and it's really hard to sit down with them and chat. But that's been what we've been up to this week. A lot of coordination across the company. We've got a major project underway here. We rocked out another project that kind of came up on us late last week, early this week. So that one's kind of done with. And we're returning back to our regularly scheduled program. So hopefully that one's out of here and we don't have to manage that one too much more. But then the next one is like a huge project that the repairs department have essentially been handling, and Brayton has been spearheading for the most part. So shout out to him for doing a great job on that. And we are Yeah, like just it's full on. It's all systems go over here at the Burdock support office. So it's pretty fun stuff. My faithful old studio gets some use from time to time. Jumping back from a couple of topics, impolite word, cancer. I've had 2 friends each lose a parent to cancer in the last week. Oh man. Yikes. That's not cool. Yeah, good golly. This is the boozy. Yeah, this is several topics ago at this point. This is like 45 minutes ago. Yeah, cancer is a real deal, man. Just people having to deal with it, period. We've got a friend and a coworker that's had a spouse that's had to deal with some of that stuff, and not cool. Not forgiving in the least. So that's a doozy, man. Good luck supporting them, because that's going to take a toll on everybody in that community, right? All right. Well, I have had my snacks on stream. Join me next week, I hope, at some point to have this. Let me send. I know it's like he's not working right now, so I don't expect him to respond. Let me send Jake a message and say, hey, happy birthday. And then, hey, man, happy birthday. The black flaming madness ramen. We should eat that on snacks on stream next week. So he's probably sleeping or traveling, one or the other. Jake has been busy these past few months. I was going to say days, but weeks. And then I was like, yeah, weeks is more, well, months is pretty much more accurate. So good stuff. But yeah, I'm almost done this coffee, which means this show has to wrap up. You don't want to see what it's like having non-Coffee John around. So fun for the whole family. That's for sure. So if you have suggestions for any sort of training, tutorials, you want to walk through a product, you want to talk about it, shoot me a message here on the show and say, hey, we should do a show on this. And I will do my best to gather my resources and get it all ready. And then we'll actually do a training for a show. We'll actually do a walkthrough so that you know what you're getting into. And I will tell you everything that I know about it, everything I'm allowed to tell you about it. And we'll go from there. So if you have suggestions about, there's lots of stuff out there, but we've never actually seen a training for PF 120 or for the A200 or 300. I'd have to see if we have an A300. I physically have one, but I don't think it's NDI enabled. Or you want to talk about concepts of install and whatever, we can handle all that stuff. If you want to talk about workflow, if you want to get a little bit more abstract with NDI stuff, yeah, we can go down that road, especially when it comes to understanding networks and getting it all. You guys know my deal. There are other configurations for NDI in networking, but support's going to gravitate to ones that we know that work and are mostly hands-off for the customer. You as an installer, it's great that it makes sense to you, but if it doesn't make sense to the person that you're selling it to, then you're still, you're doing it wrong. So happy to talk from an integrator level, how it would be best to frame the jobs that you're going to do so that they're flexible, but that they're easy to support, that if the customer has a problem, you're not having to go out on site to fix it, all that sort of good stuff. I have had lots of experience with talking to installers about that, and it continues to happen over and over and over. So happy to do that if that's something that you're interested in going through. There might be a bit of coffee left in the pot here. I might celebrate my zero drop frames with some tasty coffee. I want to get a PF 120. Though putting a new transmitter in my truck will have to push that back a little bit. A new transmission. Oh, geez. Yeah, that will definitely put a hamper on plans. The different type of flow control and how they act different on TCP, RUDP, and multicast. Yeah, for sure. That would be a very interesting conversation to have, because in general, up until recently, flow control was supposed to be turned off. And now they're saying with NDI 5 it seems to behave better in general for all protocols if flow control is on running at 1500. So we can talk through that at least. And let me write that down. We can talk through that because that's an interesting development that full disclosure, I haven't had the need to get into the weeds on and to clock the differences between, especially in the new NDI 5.53, which is the latest SDK, to see how it behaves or if they corrected whatever it was that flow control was correcting originally in 5.0. So, yeah, I'll write that down. For sure. Here with my pen. And let me see what I can come up with on that. It's a good idea, NetHab. Good stuff. Okay. Well, it's 12:15, and we officially did give you your extra 6 minutes, so you are welcome. But I will I'll wrap things up, and we'll call it a day. Nice quick show. And also, don't forget, now we're going to do this 6 minutes of wrap-up. Don't forget, we got 2 shows a week, Tuesday, Thursdays, 11 to at least 12 o'clock. And if I start late, I go late. So I'm going to give you an hour. We should say a 60-minute Bird Dog Live show. Maybe I'll change this. Let's hide this. Let's edit this. 60-minute, 60 or more, 60-plus minute Bird Dog Live show. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday for at least a 60-minute Bird Dog Live on Tuesday, Thursdays from 11 to 12. And like I said, if I start late, I will have the ticker running and let you know when exactly we will be starting. And then I will go over that amount of time just to be sure that you get full value for your tickets every time that you purchase admission to the Bird Dog Support Live show. Of course, my team, I think, are the best in the biz, and they can be reached at help@birddog.tv. I found out recently that I'll rephrase this. I found out recently that major players in the NDI world do not have phone support. I thought that was odd. I thought we were one of the only ones, but evidently it's the other way around. We're one of the only ones that kind of do. So there you go. So hit us up at help@birddog.tv. That's the best place to get an answer, especially because you can submit a ticket at any time of the day. And if you submit it during the business day, 9 to 5, there's a very good chance. Actually, you submit it between Eastern Standard Time between like 6 and 5, there's a really good chance that you're going to get a response same day. There's a high probability, unless you submit it like 4:45 and you submit 11 pages in a PDF format. So good chance that we'll do our best to get back to you if you submit a ticket to help@birddog.tv. I promise you, like I said, my guys are the best, and they really genuinely want to fix the problem. They don't just sweep things under the rug. They don't just assume that you don't know what you're talking about. They don't just assume that you're doing it wrong. They actually ask questions to find out. Now, it does require you to give some feedback. So when they do ask questions, be sure that you provide information that pertains to the questions in which you're asking. But, definitely hit us up at help, and that is a great place to get assistance. You can also create a ticket by tweeting at us over on Twitter at help_birddogtv. That is a channel that I control, and it feeds directly into the help desk. So we can respond right back to you on that tweet, or we can send you a DM. It's a little bit strange if I send you a DM, because if I send you a DM, you can't respond back to me without creating another ticket. I don't know what Zoho's thinking. But anyways, you can tweet at us, and that's the easiest way to do that, especially if you're in the field. You just open Twitter, tweet at us, close it, and when you get a response, Twitter will let you know if you have notifications turned on. So there's another quick little way to get some help from the Bird Dog support team, and we will do our best to get back to you as quickly as we can. So be sure that you hit up help@birddog.tv or over on Twitter at help_birddogtv. Lastly, of course, my boys over at Presales. These guys, if you're thinking about buying a Bird Dog product, you have questions about it, you want to maybe talk about it, the possibilities. I won't say get a demo because those are really hard to come by. But if you want to talk about the opportunities and the possibilities and how you should be thinking about NDI, these are the guys that you need to talk to about making your hopes and dreams come true when it comes to NDI stuff. And so if you haven't purchased a Bird Dog product but you have questions, feel free to hit up the pre-sales team. We've got guys all over the world that can respond to you in your relative zone. And so feel free to reach out to them, and they will try and get back to you as quickly as they can. All right, folks, last but not least, please subscribe to birddogjohn.tv. That is my support channel. and that is my kind of my company one that I use. Everything that I produce in this studio gets pushed there and other places, but always to birddogjohn.tv. And we've been slowly growing that little channel. Been a whole lot of fun doing that. And so I think it was 197 last week, and it's 190 or yesterday or Tuesday, and it's 197 right now. So thank you to everybody who has done that. I really appreciate that. And it's fun to see people sign on and, I don't know, want to pay attention to what it is that we're doing over here. So all good. Happy to also take suggestions at help@birddog.tv about things that you want to see on the show. My team can feed that information to me. It's really simple. And all of your constructive suggestions are always welcome. So I'd be interested to see the 3D stuff work. 3D, I'm going to have somebody in to show us that, because we actually don't have the ability to showcase that, but I know sales guys that do. So we might be able to make that happen. Maybe that could be Jake. Who knows? Yeah, good times. 60-minute man. Hey, thanks for the show, John. Always a pleasure to hang out. Likewise, Angus. Good luck with whatever it is that you're up to over there, and let me know those results. Let Clay know and say, hey, can you tell John too? He was talking to me about this on the show. That's always cool. Always fun to find out what people are doing, and if you find a better way to do it, look, none of this stuff is like written in stone. These are people developing things for people to use, and so if you find a better way to do something, or you're getting better results a certain way, by all means, let me know. If you want to share, please share. That'd be great. All right, folks, join us again next week on Tuesday for another very exciting, at least 60 minutes, hanging out on the Bird Dog's live support channel at birddogjohn.tv. Look us up. Love to hang out with you again. Love to see your smiling faces right here on this channel. Smiling faces. Love to see your positive comments show up in the chat, as always. Be sure that you subscribe to that YouTube page. Look forward to sometime next week. We're going to burn our faces off, hopefully with Jake, while eating spicy ramen. And we're going to go from there. Take care of yourselves. Have a great week. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
This is magnificent.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.